Caliban was at work, assembling some kind of odd device that was aimed at a very large canvas on the edge of the property. Most of the Dragon Clan was gathered around it out of curiosity. The girls were completely exhausted, tired out from their day of learning, and were all sprawled about the place in every seat they could find, using various magics to cool themselves down or heal random bruises from bumps and scrapes. Caliban carried on as the noise from a nearby machine, followed by a delightful smell, drifted over the area. Strange yellow seeds were exploding into puffy chunks inside of a nearby oversized machine. Ooh, popcorn's poppin'. Hell yeah. Gonna be a good movie night, Caliban said to apparently nobody as he worked. Movie? What's a movie? Marie asked. I don't know, but as long as it's not more training, I don't care. I am Brain, Genasi replied as she lazily slumped on a sofa. I know how you feel. I haven't had my legs this sore since the last harvest. Another girl whined as she reclined on a cozy chair. The crowd watched curiously as Caliban seemed done with whatever it was he was doing and used a button on the pad on his arm. An image suddenly appeared on the canvas. An instant painting of exceptional quality suddenly appeared in front of them. An animated logo, as if a mechanist was actively using his machines to display his brand of technology. The logo was of a four-pointed star rotating inside of a large gear wheel, with various smaller logos and corporate identifiers rotating around it. The logo faded away, and loud music, proud and strong, erupted from the speaker system. An excerpt from a national anthem, displaying the red, white, and blue stripes with 30 stars in a series of 3 rings. The display ended and something started. The sound of music, followed by the display showing the logo of a company named DreamWorks. What is this? Arterius asked, his voice low and soft but still audible. It's called Chicken Run, and it's one of the best claymation animated movies ever made. Watch and enjoy a slice of what my world was capable of, Caliban said with a smirk. The movie played out, with various mechanical arms and appendages appearing from the concrete floor to deliver popcorn and butter for the viewers. Despite their tiredness, the students couldn't take their eyes off it. The crowd reacted as one watching their first ever motion picture film would, tilting their heads, questioning plot points in their minds, watching the show unfold as the moon slowly drifted in the sky. Barely 2 hours later, the movie ended, displaying the credits for all the people responsible for the display. That was... wow, Marie said. Fascinating, isn't it? Claymation is one of my absolute favorite art styles, simply due to the amount of effort it takes. The process is very much simplified considering the tech I had back home. But back in the day, how you made claymation, or its equivalent, was to position a little clay sculpture on a set, take a photo, move it, take a photo, move it, take a photo, then repeat this process until you have enough pictures to stitch together to make an animated scene. Chicken Run is one of my favorite animated movies that uses this style. Lorelai and I used to watch a different movie every weekend before shit hit the fan, Caliban said with a sad tone. The girls shared a sad glance with each other and waited for him to talk again. Anyway, movie night. Your first of many. Very many. I figured I'd start with my favorite. So then tomorrow we continue training. The hardest lesson in the entire regimen. Repairs and maintenance. So, get some sleep, Cal said and ushered everyone to sleep. The girls slowly filtered out of their comfy sofas and into their dorm rooms to rest for the night. The Dragon Clan carried on its usual routine with some exceptions. The large dragons covered in armor plating and military hardware now worked a night shift. Acting as night watchmen and guards, their armor now adorned with the logo of Caliban's organization, as they stood watch at the various entry points to the crater. The moonlit sky clear of clouds with a strange air of calm mixed with a gentle breeze, gave the entire scene a strange, otherworldly air of calm, despite the gun-armed dragons wandering around. Most of the clan retreated into their caves to sleep, while others went out at night hunting for new ingredients to feed the clan. Morning came with a ruckus and roar, as the Dragon Clan was frantically wandering around, in flight or stomping the ground, rousing Genasi from her sleep. She looked outside and saw the royal banner and wondered what was going on. Groggily and with a groan of aching muscles, she gently sat up and looked out the window. Her jaw dropped and she squealed in terror at the sight. There, in the middle of the facility, surrounded by the armored and armed dragons, was the king's retinue, and the king himself, talking to a very annoyed-looking Caliban. "The king is here!" she loudly yelped and roused the other girls from their slumber, too. Every girl quickly scrambled out of bed and looked out the window to see the king, His Majesty Jacobson VII, with a retinue of about 500 men standing in front of a very perturbed-looking Caliban. The girls, in the presence of royalty, assumed the routine drummed into them from birth and hastily put on the best-looking long dresses and skirts they could find, scrambling with each other to quickly do up their hair and neaten themselves up as much as they knew how. They all stood in the living room by the entrance in line, with Amari acting as a lookout as she stood by the door. They waited for a few moments and Amari spotted them. "Here they come!" She squealed and joined the others in line. Caliban and His Majesty entered through the door. Each girl performed a courtesy, a gentle lady like Beau, and spoke in tandem. "Good morning, Your Majesty." "Ha." Caliban idly chuckled to himself as he went to the refrigerator and got himself a cola. I was expecting grease and oil or dirt and mud, not 15 well-dressed maidens. This must be an interesting place, the king said as he carefully inspected the new building. Indoor plumbing, gas heating, and electricity for lighting and operations. Standard work in my world. If a home didn't come with this stuff, it wouldn't pass safety checks, Caliban replied and chugged his soda. A deeper explanation would be required for that, but they are healthy and safe, so I have no objections, His Majesty said as he waved a hand, dismissing the girls to their rooms. The girls wandered away and stood with their ears to their doors, trying to discover the conversation, as Caliban talked with the king. "So, formalities addressed. Why are you here?" Caliban asked. "Rumors of dragons carrying cargo, strange machines wandering about too far from the southern kingdoms to be normal, entire Nabhan tribes being wiped out with no casualties, dragons carrying weapons guarding their home like professional soldiers, and the appearance of an otherworlder and his entire house. I am not a king because I am foolish or stupid, so obviously there's something going on here. I needed to see the source," His Majesty said, leaning against a wall. "Fair. So before we begin, you are signing this document," Caliban said, and handed the king 2 very fancy-looking parchments. "Summarize them?" "One is freedom with individual responsibility. The other is duty and honor at the expense of freedom. One will make you stop all talks, and I will talk to individuals on a voluntary basis only in order to create a militia to respond to whatever the world decides to throw at us. You can do what you usually do, but anyone who wants to fight the coming storm has to effectively abandon you and the kingdom. The other document is effectively a statement of conditional surrender where you will volunteer your nation to be the bulwark. You retreat from all religious and political practices, withdraw from the public eye, and become the shield that defends the world," Caliban stated calmly. "Okay," the king said with a fair amount of concern. "The simple answer is this. This tech is beyond anything you have, and we have to exercise extreme caution." "Why?" "Simple, we had this tech, and it was a fucking mess." "What kind of mess?" "World War I, 35 million dead," Caliban said. The king's face went pale with horror. "World War II, 85 million dead, followed by the Cold War. Between 60 to upwards of 200 million dead as a result of proxy wars and state conflicts. Then the War on Terror, a further 100 million lives lost, followed by World War III and its subsequent resource wars. 2 billion lives lost," Caliban stated, cold and deadpan in his tone. "By the gods." "To put it simply, you can't be trusted with this kind of weaponry unless I have your solemn and absolute written and stated vow that you will not use it the same way we did. You get access to the kind of gear that can kill millions in a day. You have to swear you won't use it for anything other than what we came here for. You don't want to repeat our history," Caliban replied, slowly approaching the now deathly pale king. The king said nothing, simply swallowing nervously as Caliban stared him down. One way or another, the culture shock will be something horrifying to witness. Whoever signs up for whatever reason will have a lot to think about. Going from medieval peasants swinging swords and bows to suddenly driving tanks and hitting targets at 2 miles is somewhat disturbing, even to the strongest of minds. Even indoor plumbing was a shock to the few people that are here. So I have a new proposal, one made by my wife, Caliban said, handing the king a new parchment scroll. Oh? Okay, what's this one? The king asked, trembling like a lamb in front of an angry wolf. Same as the first, volunteer basis only a bit more involved. In exchange for tribute in the form of manpower and gold, I will train an army to defend against the coming storm. In exchange for your men effectively pledging their allegiance to my military force and consequence to the defense of the whole world, I will slowly and carefully teach you how to use my tech. This includes farming for food, acquiring gas for heating, plumbing, fuel, and electricity. And then eventually, after many years of work, you will be able to calm the populace and keep them working and happy while not going completely crazy. Like we did, Caliban said calmly, stepping back. That sounds like a good plan to me, actually, the king replied meekly. I didn't think you had any better plans. I can tell you are a smart man, but I know politicians. I had to suffer the useless monsters for 15 years. I can tell you are a good man, but the weight of the world is showing. You get too much too quickly, you go too far, and people get hurt. I've seen it too many times to not notice. So we're doing this slowly and with caution to make sure that doesn't happen, Caliban stated calmly, his tone dead and serious. Okay. I'll sign this one then, the king said, and with Caliban glaring at him, the kind of stare that a man gets from the Grim Reaper before meeting one's maker.